record this meeting. I don't see anybody else on. I don't expect John Tedder. So Jim Capiello, Vincent.
Yep.
Margot, and you're all here. So let's get rolling because I got to split at 7. Vinny told me I have to be out of the building at 7. Okay.
All right.
Okay, well, good evening, everyone. At this time, we're waiting on the draft IDA financials. We did receive GICLIC. So I'll go over the IDA first in terms of preliminary numbers. The revenue for the IDA.
And you're reading off the Paris report because we didn't get anything else on the IDA.
We just received, I guess, a budget versus actual.
Okay, I didn't
for the
get
IDA.
that, and I didn't generate it. I only got the Paris and the draft annual report for IDA. For
Right.
GICLIC,
Yeah, that's fine because the
no, for IDA I only got the Paris. It was for GICLIC that we got the Paris and the draft annual report.
Yeah, on the Paris report would be included the balance sheet and the profit and loss details. So
Okay.
that should be on there.
So what page do you want them to go to?
That would be
Margot,
part of.
Do you want me to share my screen with the IDA budget versus actual? I have it. Do you want me to open it up?
Yeah,
that's
sure.
a lot easier.
Yeah, let me do that. Okay.
Yep.
Hold on 1 second. I think it went to Vince and I didn't know it was something we needed. I'll just put it up on the screen. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So the revenue for the IDA came in at 509,000. Out of the revenue, that includes the escrow fees and admin fees. So out of that 509,000, 183,000 was for admin fees. The total salaries and benefits came out to 288,000. One reason due to the increase over the budget were due to payroll accrual entries. We had a pension accrual entry for 15,000, an OPEB entry of 57,000, and another 22,000 recorded to prepaid pension. So included in that salary and benefit line are payroll accrual entries, thus accounting for some of the variance in there. Total professional fees came in at 331,000. Out of that, roughly 300,000 are for legal fees that were paid in escrow, and another 40,000 for general counsel. Total admin expenses came in at 8,500 versus 9,960 for the budget. So overall, the net operating surplus or deficit line, we had budgeted a negative 15 and we actually came in at a negative 119,000. Keep in mind the IDA is still under review. We don't have draft financials yet, but as soon as we get that, we will go ahead and forward that and hopefully next week have final financial statements.
Margot, it
yes.
seems like in terms of the revenue generated by the project, so the project admin fees and the fees we collect when we approve projects, it seems like that was on target. Was the major differential in revenue the fact that we didn't spend as much in legal fees and pay out as much in escrow as we had budgeted for?
Exactly.
Oh, I think that's an important point to make because when you look at this just at face value, it seems like, oh, wow, we really were behind in the revenue generation for the projects. But in fact, I think a lot of this comes down to we had budgeted quite a bit in fees that are paid through escrow by our, by the developers, when actually we just didn't spend as much, or we haven't paid out as much in legal fees that's paid by the developer anyway than what was anticipated.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. I just think that's important to highlight because it kind of puts these numbers in a little bit of a different light versus making it's not so much that we didn't generate the income that we were budgeted to. It's more so that we just didn't pay out in as much of those escrow bills as we anticipated that are paid by the developers.
Exactly. And keep in mind, those are wash transactions. The
Exactly.
escrow
Yep.
fees are revenue and then offset by the expense.
Yep.
So, Anne, did you want to discuss the pilot information?
Sure. Let me stop presenting. You all should have received a copy of the draft Paris report that Margot will need to submit by the end of the month. And, I'm not going to go project by project. Overall, know that both Margot and I went through all of the pilot payments for each of the projects throughout the year 2020, and we verified all of the pilot payments were made downstairs with finance and that they were paid on time. That was something we were sure to verify for each of the major billing periods throughout the year. Most of our pilots get billed out on a similar schedule, but we do have a couple of outliers, so we checked all of that. We also verified all of the full-time equivalent job information that was submitted by each of the project applicants, each of the project representatives. So each developer sent in their exhibit, their financial and job exhibit on time. And all of that information with the backup was compiled and was checked. And all of the FTEs were on target for what is involved in our lease back agreements and our other agreements on these projects. And we had quite a number of construction jobs, over 1,000 actually, created by Garvey's Point this year, and Village Square had hundreds of construction jobs as well, and they both met their, Village Square met their FTE requirements, as did the other projects. So nothing, no red flags there, everything checked out, and we were sure to verify all that. With the tax exemptions, and Margot knows now by going through this for the first time and me going through it in detail for the first time, it was a little bit of a painstaking process because we have to calculate with the assessment department all of the tax exemptions for each of the projects. So that's figuring out what the projects would have paid in taxes versus what they pay in pilot, and then what the overall net exemption for each of the projects are. For projects like Garvey's Point that have many different properties and assessments and different ways of different inputs into that information, it can be quite exhausting and complex. But the bottom line is we were able to come out with the tax exemptions for each of the properties for 2020. And Margot, I believe you have all of that information now to upload into Paris.
Yes, actually, it's been entered into Paris.
Margot, did you want to note anything additional on the Paris reporting aspect of things for IDA?
As soon as I get the final financial statements, I can go ahead and finalize the information in Paris and have that submitted by month end, the due date.
Great. Did you want to move on to the GICLIC if there's no questions?
Did anybody have any questions?
No, I don't. The only thing
No
I have to
questions.
say is the fact is with the full-time equivalents is, that's that's one of the things the audit came out with right? So that we can definitely, point that out in case we have any problems with people coming up and saying, that, we don't do our job, now we can prove it.
Well, and there's a lot of difficulties with the FTEs in that, each project's a little bit different. Each project has a different agreement. The FTEs need to be calculated from backup information, and that varies across the board. But what I will say is that this year there was a very large concerted effort to make sure that all the letters were issued months in advance to each of the developers, that there were numerous reminders given to them, and that we did receive complete information from each and every one of them, and on the correct template and paperwork and with the correct backup. Anytime I had a question about our backup that might have been received, I did run it a few times by council just to make sure we got everything we needed. And, I have to say that I think the effort was put in to make sure that was all done correctly.
That's what I was just, job well done on it.
Well, and I have to, give Margot a big shout out for going through this process for the first time, and for Camille for really being diligent with a lot of that follow up. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you, Anne.
Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna move on.
Yeah, let's go to the GICLIC. Should we go to the GICLIC financial statement, Margot?
Yeah,
one?
sure.
Okay, I'm gonna pull that up. All right. Okay. Is there anything in particular you want me to scroll to, Margot?
I guess just page 9, just the profit and loss statement.
Is this it?
Yes.
GICLIC is pretty comparable with last year, receiving admin fees from the Regency and Tigerman. So there was $2,000 in admin fees, admin expenses of $4,000 versus $4,600 for last year. So everything was pretty comparable. So does anybody have any questions regarding GICLIC?
Nope.
So again, just the admin fees of $2,000, and then professional fees that were incurred, which is pretty in line with last year. And if anybody is going through the financials, if you have any specific questions on those, please feel free to ask.
And Margot, you received all that information about the bonds from the Regency and Tigerman as well, I know, and that went to the auditors.
Yes, that did.
On page, we have the Garvey's Point project on page 13. We have Tigerman and the Regency on page 14, it looks like.
Yes.
And Margot and I are both involved with the process of the monthly requisitions and the work that's being done on the public amenities down at the waterfront, and working with the trustee to process those payments and also oversee and review the work that's being done down there. My role more in a project management perspective, and Margot more in the financial perspective, but we've been working through that throughout the year. And that involves any of the transfers we needed to make to complete the Herb Hill Garvey's Point Road project as well. And we do have a couple of final payments we need to make on that project once any disputes are resolved with our contractor. but that project now has been done for a year, and we're just closing out the financials and the grants.
Okay, Anne, thank you for adding that. So again, as soon as we receive the final financial statements, we can go ahead and forward that to all the board members.
Margot, should I open up Paris quickly just to scroll through it with the board members? What do you think? The Paris report for IDA?
If you don't mind, could if they prefer that, do we want to wait till we have final financial statements?
Well, I wasn't sure if you just wanted to show them your hard work of inputting the information thus far. Why don't I share my screen just for a moment? Just so we're clear. We do need to bring this up at the board meeting on Tuesday, so I just want to make sure everyone is fairly comfortable. I know that we have to enter in the final financials, but I'll scroll down to, a lot of this is going to be dependent on the final financials in terms of all the financial statements, as Margot was alluding to. And then Margot, I'm just showing them quickly. These are the projects, and just to show that the various inputs are in there in terms of pilot payments, exemptions, FTEs, construction jobs, and all those other reporting factors.
Okay.
What page is that on?
Of the Paris PDF,
Yeah.
It starts on page 17, and it goes through page 28.
Yeah, it certainly is very tedious. My goodness.
All right, I will get out of that. And that's a new thing, by the way. We never used to, have the board members review the Paris inputs prior to them going in, but that's something that was implemented a couple of years ago, where we've been just showing the board members, what we plan on reporting before it goes in.
You didn't share the screen, right? I don't see anything.
I thought I did for a bit.
I mean, I have it in front of me, but yeah,
Does
there it
everyone
is.
see this?
Yes.
Yes, it starts on page 17 and it just goes through. I mean, I don't know, Margot, this is your show, so I really don't have anything in particular to go over.
Yeah, just basically when the pilot payment information is entered for the current year, the exemption amount is entered, and the full-time equivalents are entered.
I guess I'll just highlight the Village Square project had 582 construction jobs, which is great. And the Garvey's Point project overall had 1,332 construction jobs. I mean, it was estimated a little over 400 a year, but that's, we were really in the height of construction in 2019 and now 2020. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing if that's okay with everyone.
Yep.
Okay.
Good.
All right, so we'll come up with what we're gonna send the board, I guess, tomorrow, or, because we have our meeting Tuesday night.
Margot, is the next step that you'll get the draft financial statements for IDA from the auditors, and then those will be circulated to the finance committee first, and then if they, don't have any questions, hopefully Camille will be able to circulate everything by Monday to the IDA board members for the Tuesday night meeting?
Yeah, hopefully we can expect financials by tomorrow. So I will follow up with the auditors to see where we stand with the IDA. And I think in terms of the CDA in Section 8, we should have, finalized financial statements.
Okay,
So would Camille go ahead and circulate the CDA, Section 8, and GICLIC statements that we reviewed tonight tomorrow, and then just with a note that the IDA would come after?
Yeah, that's fine.
I guess as long as Vince and Jim are comfortable with that.
that's
Do you
fine.
want to review the IDA draft financial first, or are you okay with that going to the full board once it's ready?
You could just send it when it's ready.
When is the draft going to be issued? Tomorrow?
Wait, I'm sorry?
When is the draft going to be issued for the IDA financials?
I will follow up with Jeff tomorrow at the accounting firm
Okay,
and see if we can get that.
all right.
Okay,
Fine by me.
all right, Margot, you'll be in the office tomorrow, so we'll talk, and we'll speak to Ann. All right, so I think we're done.
Okay,
I think so, if there's no further questions.
No questions.
all right,
Thank you.
okay. We want to check on somebody to make sure she gets out of the building.
Yeah, right. No, I'm fine. Vinny wouldn't leave me here.
Like, you can always walk out of the building on